when
It's not
I hope
nation
that he's
state,
here.
Yeah, Andrew's here.
isn't
I'm
it?
here.
Okay. So to date, what
Anybody
we
who's not talking, if you could go on mute, please, that would be great. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
so to date, what has happened? We have a 30-inch, I'm sorry, a 42-inch transmission main that has failed. It had a leak. The leak was identified Sunday evening. Sunday evening, we had crews to come out. They understood what was going on and they isolated the area. A 42-inch main is a very large line. And it's the line, it's one of the lines that transports large volumes of water from the drinking water plant down to the furthest corners of the county. And it transports that water down to the furthest point of the counties to put it into the tanks and elevated towers that you see around the county, so that we have water throughout the county ready to be utilized by the ratepayers. This 42-inch line here had a leak. We found the leak and we had to get a plan in place to manage this leak. 42-inch, it's very large. This is not your typical main break. A typical main break is a 6-inch, 8-inch line. We can get out there, we can repair that within a few hours. It's a very small line. A, a couple people can pick that line up. They can dig, find it, pick the old line up, replace it with a new line. This line, it requires extraordinarily large equipment. It takes very large holes to be excavated to get to those lines. It takes time to get the equipment in because it's so large it has to be kind of guided in wide load. The pipe itself, it's very large pipe. It has to be brung in and put in place. Once we excavate, well, there's a couple things that are wrong. Because it's a large line and it could have potentially a lot of water that's leaving that line, it can cause hazards, safety hazards. So we have to make sure that we have everything in place to get down deep enough to that large to prevent any cave-ins or people that are working on this line. And then two, because this is a large line, not just anyone works on the large line. We have to get special people in here to work on this large line. All these things takes coordination and time to get these resources pulled into the location that's needed. Then when we get here, we have to excavate down. Once we excavate down, we have to put up shoring to protect the hole and the pipe that's there. And all that's done before we are even ready to start to disassemble the old line to get the new line in place. Because of all of those things that are happening, it's very difficult for us to give you an exact time. It's not rocket science. It's not an exact science that says 15 minutes, we're going to do this, 20 minutes, we're going to do that. Everything is on the ground. We have no idea what's on the ground. So to be very cautious, we have to identify power lines, cable lines, internet lines, and fiber optics and things like that. And so it's a very tedious and slow process to excavate so that we don't cause other damage to your community. And then on top of that, we don't know what's in the ground. So we have to take our time and have everything located. And that's another thing that takes a little time for us. I can tell you this 42-inch main is a transmission main that goes through your community, and that transports water from one end of the county to the next. It should be very easy for us to isolate that transmission on each side and not impact anyone in the community. We isolated it on both sides and we slowed the water down enough to where it stopped coming on the surface of the ground. Now we have to find out exactly where that break is underground and dig in a specific area so that we don't dig up your entire roadway. After we isolated the break and we started digging down, we did realize that people were without water. We didn't know who was without water because from our schematics and from our system, no one should be without water because we've only isolated the 42-inch transmission main. When we found that people were without water, we had to investigate and understand who's without water, why are they without water, and it was very perplexing to us. We utilized the information that we got from the people who said they had no water. We used some electronic equipment, and what we believe that we have found is that we have residential houses connected to our transmission main. That's a no-no. That's something that you don't want. This is a very large pipe with a lot of water and a lot of water pressure. And you should not be connected. A house should not be connected to that. So we do believe that we have the people without water on this roadway in this area, they're connected directly to a transmission main. Now, because we believe that to be the case, I've spoken with the CEO and the COO, and we are putting a plan together to correct that. That plan is to come in this area with a 6-inch water main, or 6 to 8 inch, depending on the design that has to be put together. And we're going to put that main in here. We're going to remove the houses that we believe to be on the 42 and connect everyone to the 6-inch. And that will eliminate outages such as this going forward. And that will also protect our 42-inch that's very fragile.
So is that, thank you, first of all, again, for taking the time to be here and giving us a lot more detail than we've had up until this point. I think everybody here will agree that's very illuminating, and frankly, that's very concerning. So when I hear you say that you're going to come in and install this 6-inch main, is that going to have to happen before our water gets turned back on? Or are you going
No,
to turn back our, okay,
no, sir.
good.
No, not at
I was
all.
about to have a
No,
stroke.
we're definitely trying to, we are working as expeditiously as we can right now. I have teams, we've been here, I've been out here for more than 37 hours myself. I have team members that have been out here since Sunday evening trying to get a hold of this. So we are very dedicated to restoring your service as quickly as we can. Um, and we're going to do that. I'm very confident that we're going to have your water up sometime late this evening before morning. We have the old pipe removed. We have everything cleaned. We have the new pipe on site and cut and ready to be installed. So they are now prepping the groundwork to lower the new pipe in, and then they're going to seal that new pipe in. We're going to disinfect it and have your water on very, very soon.
Okay.
Now,
So
the
that
the
part of
new
it'll
line,
be right.
say again.
I said, so that the immediate pain will be relieved
Yes, we're going to do that
relatively soon.
immediately.
Okay.
So this new service line that you guys should be connected to, that we believe is missing from a portion of this area, there's several things that's going to have to happen. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen next week or next month. I have to get with my engineers. We're going to design this. We're going to locate the material. We're going to have to locate the area, and we're going to have to put down a strategic plan to come in here to minimize the downtime and the impact to the community going forward. Now, what I can say, this is something that we do day in and day out, adding new service mains. We add the new line, we disinfect it, we make sure that it's watertight and pressurized before we touch your water line. And then when we're ready to take you from the old service and tie you into the new service, we knock on your door and we say, hey, we need about 35 minutes to an hour to turn your specific house off not everyone, one house at a time, to connect you to the new line. So we'll give you advance notice. We'll give you plenty of information on how and when this process is going to happen.
That is all wonderful news. I would definitely like to not do this again. Part of the frustration you're hearing is we've already been through one of these already this year. And that was an adventure. And we all learned a lot and grew together. And we thought that that was something we were going to laugh about later. It turns out not so much. So there are some
Yes.
comments rolling in that I want to read to you because I think you should hear them. One is thank you for being here, Mr. Hayes. Yeah, we all appreciate you being here. Question from somebody, and if y'all have questions, it's probably easier to just throw them in the chat. I'm going to give them to Mr. Hayes as I get them. Question one: why weren't customers notified when the outage first happened?
Great question. Again, the 40-inch, 42-inch transmission is what had a leak. There should not have been an outage if the residents, the houses in this area were actually plumbed correctly. No one should be connected to a 42-inch. And therefore, when we sectioned off this 42-inch to start the repair work, we should not have affected anyone. But because people are connected to it, we are impacting people, and we are now learning that. And we don't know who we're impacting because we don't have schematics on where everyone's plumbing. This pipe is 50 years old. It was installed in 1970, so it's greater than 50 years old. We don't know what builders did back then, so we know that you should not be connected to it, but we had no proof that you were connected to it until today. I'm sorry, we actually almost learned this sometime late last evening that, wait a minute, these houses are without water. And we thank you for letting us know because we don't know if your meter's not spinning or not. So we depend on the ratepayers, the residents, to say, hey, we don't have any water. And that's when we start investigating and understanding. So it is not our intent not to inform you, but we clearly did not know who was without water because we did not try to turn off anyone's water on who's supposed to be on a 6-inch. We only isolated the 42-inch.
Gotcha. And their follow-up was, why has DeKalb still not officially notified customers? But I think you answered that in your response to question one. It sounds like you just didn't know what you were dealing with at the time. Um, Question that a lot of people have, because when we deal with outages the most is with Georgia Power, and we're very used to how they communicate outages. Usually Georgia Power gives you the worst possible case scenario, so they look like miracle workers. But that's what they do, and everybody does a little different. But one question was, is there a chance of getting an outage map like when the power goes out? I'm guessing not, but I want to throw it your way.
Yes, that we could possibly provide you what we believe to be an outage map. Where we differ from Georgia Power, their meters are electric. Their meters are computers. So when their meter doesn't have a power voltage going to it from their line, they get a signal saying, wait a minute, this house is out, that house is out. They can tell you specifically which houses are out. Water is different. We have water going down a roadway. We have no idea if water stops going into your or through your meter until the ratepayers or the residents let us know. Now, if we turn valves in the ground, we have an idea where the valves are on the ground that we're turning and what they are supposed to be controlling, but it's still not exact for us. So we attempt to minimize the outage to the specific area that needs the repair so that we don't have a large volume of people without water. And we start at ground zero and we work our way out. And when we do that, we try to communicate who we believe that we're impacting. But what I do encourage is if you do have water outage, please communicate it to us, let us know, and allow us to put our map together so that we can communicate it better to other people. One, two, we can investigate exactly what's out because you may not be affected by what we've done. It may be something else, just ironically, it happened at the same time. So when you give us information, you allow us to serve you better. You allow us to give more information, to be
And
more aware of what's happening.
and that's important because what a lot of this loop that we've been going through is a lot of us get the message that say call Watershed. Now we
Yes,
don't know that you're collecting information doing that. We assume you have a big map where you can see all of this. And so when we call Watershed, we say, hey, our water's out. And they say, well, you have a water main break. And we're like, well, we know that. We've been dealing with it for 3 days. And so it just enrages us because, we don't know. We feel like we're being asked to call to be told what we already know. And we don't know that this is actually data collection on your part. So maybe there's a way to refine that message to make it clear to us what we're supposed to be doing. Because if we know that we're helping you do your job better by giving you information you lack, that's a way better message than call Watershed for an update and you call Watershed and the update is what you already knew. Because that's the loop a lot of us have been in for 3 days because when this happened, like we immediately went to Twitter. We didn't see anything on Twitter. We immediately went to Facebook. We didn't see anything on Facebook. When there's a power, I hate to compare y'all to Georgia Power because I realize you're two different things. But whenever there's an outage with cable or Georgia Power or whatever, the first thing you see on their website is, we know there's an outage. We're looking into it. It's just an acknowledgement of we hear you, we know, and you got that from Watershed. But when I called Watershed, I heard there's an outage and we're looking into it, and then I go up and down McLendon and I don't see any Watershed trucks. So I don't know, what's going on. I don't know what's happening there. So anyway, I don't want other people to have questions, but I mentioned that because there was a question of with electronic monitoring, how can you not see huge changes in water sooner? And I think the answer to that question is it's not electronic monitoring, right? It's not.
correct.
It's a meter that spins. Um, commenters, did somebody saying something?
Yes.
When you
What's up?
call, they're not asking for your address. So how are they tracking it?
Exactly. Yeah, they're not asking for any of that information that you would need. Um, Another comment. Thank you for informing us about the steps that need to be taken in order to correct this. Thank you. I would love more communications like this in the future. I agree. Question from Tiffany for Dave. What about those of us who have very low water pressure or a slow trickle? What are we supposed to be doing?
So we are working very hard to get your water back to you as quickly as we can. If you have a slow trickle, it is because you have residual from the water in the line. There's not enough pressure to push the water to your elevation. Um, Communicate to us similar. Hey, my water pressure is low, or my water is trickling. And I hear you say that you have not been asked your address. I will look into that to understand why, because that is how we gather our data. And the first thing that I ask is, how many calls have we received saying no water, low water pressure? What addresses, what area are they? So it's concerning that you're saying that you've not been asked your address when you call in, and I will address that. Um, but yes, please, if you have low water, no pressure, please phone in and provide that information, and that will allow us um, to understand the magnitude and where we need to be looking.
Is there going to be a boil water advisory as a result of any of this, David? Do you think?
So our system, we are mandated to issue a boil water advisory when our system loses pressure, when our system goes below 20 pounds per square inch of pressure. We did not go below 20 pounds per square inch of pressure. So our system did not get compromised. As a matter of fact, when we were looking in the area, we were around 90 pounds per square inch of pressure.
Okay. So, question. The rest of the line is also old. What is the cab's plan to address the remaining line?
DeKalb County, we have a master plan, a water master plan. We have assessed and we are continually assessing our entire infrastructure. We know that we have an aged infrastructure. We know that the infrastructure has been neglected for many, many years. And we have put together this master plan to identify all of Watershed's infrastructure, more than 6,000 linear miles of pipe in the ground. And we have strategized and put together a system to where we are replacing this infrastructure as quickly as we can to bring the cab system to date. Now, this is not something that happens overnight. This is not something that happens in the next 10 years. We have so much pipe in the ground that it's going to take us some time to get this to speed. What I can say with CEO Thurman, he understands our system and he understands the age of it, and he has been 100% supportive of this upgrade of our water infrastructure. And therefore, he has been behind us and pushing us to get this system replaced, updated as quickly as we can.
Okay. Was the break another question? I'm just going from the chat. If you have a question, throw them in the chat. It's the best way to handle it right now. Question. Was the break a month ago? Well, this is actually back in February on McLendon related to this break in any way? I think you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Yes, that was 828 McLendon. I spent 48 hours nonstop out here to assist with that break. They're not related in that they're the same break. They are related where this is the exact same pipe. It is a 54-year-old pipe. And it's time for us to start addressing this 54-year-old pipe. One. Two, we believe that that break in February stemmed from a illicit connection, an old illicit connection that that gave way and blew that section of the pipe away.
Okay.
That's some of the evidence and proof that we believe that that portion of McLendon is connected directly to a transmission main, which should not be.
And just to be clear, that's stuff that builders did in years ago. So there's no accountability there for the people who
There's
did
no
that.
account. That's before our time. We have no idea what they did. I
Okay.
do know that it's not code and it's against our code today, and we don't allow it, and we inspect.
Years ago.
Please mute yourself if you're not. Hold on. Okay, great. Same person said, honestly, this extra information helps so much. It's scary news, but it helps to know. I think we all agree that more information is good. Another question. I understand you'll be correcting the current issue, but are there plans to conduct a study of the surrounding area to identify other issues proactively?
Again, we have a master plan that we've put in place that has been put together and adopted by the Board of Commission. That master plan does recognize and identify all watershed infrastructure throughout DeKalb County. And we are systematically trying to address the areas in a order of magnitude of failure. There's almost 6,000 linear mile of pipe. It's a very large number of pipe. So we are doing as much as we can with the resources that we have and the contractors that we have to assist us with replacing these pipes as quickly as we can. So yes, we are aware of the age of the pipe. We are aware of the areas that give us issues, and we are trying to put out the hottest fires first, and we're working our way down. But our plan is to not allow DeKalb County to have any pipe older than 50 years of age at some point in the future.
A resident asks if there's an app where people can go and report these issues, or do we just need to call the main number?
Unfortunately, we don't have an app to date. That is a great idea, suggestion. So I will look into that. Thank you for that suggestion. But currently it is the best to go to the phone.
Gotcha.
Call us at the phone and report it, please.
Person says, is it safe to say that the 50-year-old 42-inch main is beyond its useful service life?
It's nearing its service life. We have pipe in DeKalb County that's greater than 70 years of age. And most pipe should last just at 50 years or better. At 50 years to 70 years, you want to replace this pipe. So best practice is to try to replace pipe at or around 50 years of age.
So there's a few more comments that are basically saying the same thing, that they were not asked to give information to dispatch about where their break was. So I'm just letting you know there's more comments that are echoing that. I'm not going to read them all. And get to another question. Has this team, I'm assuming the Watershed team, been given any outside or state resources to expedite this repair?
No, this is Watershed working this repair. There are no funds coming from anywhere other than Watershed's budget.
Gotcha. How far down will it be dug up? Zach asks.
This this particular hold here is about 12 to, I think 12 to 13 foot deep. So it's very deep, very dangerous down there. And that's a very large pipe down there. You can't stand up in this particular pipe, but you can definitely bend over and go through this pipe. So it's very large pipe, very heavy pipe, and very cumbersome to remove. Um, it's a very dangerous repair that has to take time.
Will you be going to the area where the first break was? You remember the first one a month ago?
828 McLendon at the corner of Vista Brook.
Yeah, so the current one is for more towards further the other direction.
The current break is more north, going more near 78 and Lawrenceville Highway.
Okay, so the digging won't be where the other the original
No, the first dig was 828 McLendon. This dig is at 1024 McLendon.
Thank you.
Another participant in the meeting asked, would emails be better than phone calls for collecting this information? And if so, who should they email?
We have a email hotline, DeKalb Water Ops. Yes, that email is monitored 24/7. Let me see if I can get you that exact email address. But email, phone call, I appreciate both. When you get the information to us, we can definitely use that information to understand exactly what's going on.
Honestly, if you help us feel like we're helping you make the fix, that will be a great thing for everybody. Because people want to help, people want to do something, people want to feel like they have control in a situation like this. So if you're telling the community, the messaging is, hey, get us this information, that'll make our job easier. That's a good message to be putting out to folks, especially in this kind of a situation.
So that email address is DeKalb Water OPS at DeKalb County GA
.gov.
Yes.
Okay. DeKalb Water
That,
OPS
again, that is
at the,
DeKalb Water OPS at DeKalb County GA.gov.
okay. At this time,
Dan, I put it in. I put it in
okay.
the chat.
Thank you so much. At this time, hold on. At this time, do you feel you know how many houses are hooked up to the 42-inch main inappropriately? That is a good
I don't
question.
have an exact number, but with the information that we have, we believe the south end of McLendon, those are the houses that are just beyond Vista Brook. We believe those are the houses that are connected to the 42-inch main.
The houses
That's
north are also incorrect because the houses on Brick Lane have been low water or no water since Sunday as well. And we are north of that and we have had water issues.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it. And then you say Brook Lane, north of Brook Lane.
Brick, BRICK, the neighborhood that's just before you get to 78, or yeah, before you get to 78, that cul-de-sac of homes, we've had issues since Sunday as well.
Thank you. I will use that information.
Luciana Dale says, I'm a nurse and I really value the health and safety of my community. I would really like to see some health guidance sent to my community. Hand hygiene is #1 prevention of infection. When there's a compromise in that, it increases the risk of gastroenteritis, I'm butchering this, hepatitis, urinary tract infections. Please, will someone distribute recommendations for those who may be unfamiliar? That's a great point. Hygiene has been a real challenge, especially for those of us who have children. And that has been a concern because, you know, it's good to wash your hands, you know, when y'all are distributing crates of bottled water, like I wish some hand sanitizer was coming in that too, you know, because I mean, I didn't keep all of it from COVID. But I don't know that's a question. That's just a good comment.
I will make note of that comment. Thank you for that
Yeah,
suggestion. Hand sanitizer.
has the county looked into federal funding? I think we talked about getting some extra outside assistance, and I think that was answered. Can the county have a text message system for customers involved in such a wide outage? So basically, if I'm understanding that question correctly, it's you have an outage, you get a text that says, hey, your water's out. You get notified somehow. It doesn't sound like that's a possibility given that you don't have an electronic system, but that is a question.
I've taken note of that and I will share with the team. We do not have that capability and I don't know what it requires to get that type of capability. So, but I have made a note of that and we will definitely discuss that.
Okay. Aside from reporting, I'm sure. Yeah.
Then, so if there is a major boil water advisory that affects a much larger portion of the county, we do have the capabilities for that. So we use that for big emergencies, and our system requires us to use it for only big emergencies.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that context. Another question. Aside from reporting our outages, is there anything else we can do to help move this larger replacement project along? People we should contact, etc. And I think they mean coming in and maybe both. Maybe they mean that 6-inch main that y'all are going to put in to get our homes off of that big line and possibly the replacement of the line itself. What can, you know, you see there are a lot of people here. We're all very interested. We obviously like living here or we would have given up a long time ago. What can we do? How can we convert this energy into helping y'all get the things done faster?
Great question.
I will note that Congressman Hank Johnson has a representative here, so thank you for being here. I hope you're hearing all this and taking notes back to the people who need to hear that.
I will take all of these suggestions to the leadership of the CAB and let them know the concerns and the great ideas that you have. And if there is anything that they believe that the community can do to assist us in getting these projects moved more quickly, have them funded, I'll allow, you know, the administration to address that. But I will definitely let them know that we have the support of the community to help move these projects.
Question. What is the difference in response time level for this break and compared to the break earlier in February? it felt like since the other main break got a lot of news coverage, that maybe there were more resources provided to the previous main break instead of this current one. Can you address that question?
I can say that's not the case. No. I can say in both situations, the DeKalb Watershed team, they understood that there was something going on in the system before anyone outside really knew what was going on. And they notified and dispatched response teams to go investigate. Um, we, because we knew that something was wrong in the system, we put people out and we started looking around. Now, again, 6,000 mile of pipe, it's very difficult to go directly to one area, but we are able to narrow it down, and we have boots on the ground scouring DeKalb, looking at different telemetry around to understand where it could be to narrow it down as quickly as we can.
Uh,
The
other
best
streets. Okay, I'm
the
sorry.
best way to for us to respond quickly, because we do respond as soon as we understand something's going on. If you see something, say something, and that helps us get to there that much more quickly.
Okay. Other streets that are being affected, if you and Andrew are taking notes, East Avenue is affected. Verde Way, I believe that's Verde Way, is affected. Tanner Drive is affected. I think that is also on your radar, but just in case it wasn't, Verona Drive is affected as well. There's low pressure on Seville, but they have water. I hear you mention data collection via phone. However, we communicated our outage via phone on Sunday evening. On Monday evening, Watershed released a social media post saying they were unaware of outages associated with the break. How can data collection be improved so that we are passing along info we know it is actually being recorded appropriately? Yeah, I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of us, was seeing that announcement from the county saying there wasn't a break when we had all been without water for 2 days. So I don't think that that was intentional based on the conversation that I'm hearing with you all. But I do think that's a great point and a great question, which
Correct.
is
And I will respond to that because by saying that I'm going to look in our system to see if there is a failure or breakdown, and I will have that corrected.
question. If we got bottled water delivered, should we assume that we are impacted?
We wanted to show that we understand that there are some outages in the area and that we are concerned, and we wanted to let you know that we care about the community. So we definitely took the initiative to deliver bottled water door to door to say, hey, we're having some issues out here. We don't know if you're impacted. We don't know the status of your water right now, but here's some bottled water. We were doing that in good faith to let you know that we are doing what we can to correct the situation, and we understand that this is an inconvenience, but
Uh,
know that we're
okay.
on the job.
So one of our neighbors actually works for FEMA. So that's a cool fact. She's telling us that the application period for Adelia, which I think was a storm or hurricane, FEMA is still open to apply for mitigation funds. Please tell David to contact Georgia Emergency Management Agency for application submission help. So there you go. There's apparently some federal money that could be thrown at this. I'll let smarter people than I am figure that out.
Thank you for that
Another,
information. Call GMA. Okay,
yeah.
very good.
If you need a clinician's input recommending best hygiene practices, feel free to contact me. It goes beyond hand sanitizer. Luciana Dale, we got a ton of smart, talented people in this group. Somebody said they're going to bring pizza. Please bring some to me. Our house on Verona is from 1962, which sounds older than the 42-inch line. Could this be a different yet related issue?
That I can't speak to at this moment, but I can
Okay.
definitely kind of look into it. You said Vermont is 1962, and
Yeah.
And I don't know the age of the pipe on Vermont. I don't know. Obviously, if it was 1962 and this is 1970, it's on a different line, but there could be another related issue. So again, all this information allows us to investigate and allows us to understand our system better. The system is very old and it's underground, out of sight, out of mind. And while we pride ourselves on trying to have decent data, drawing schematics, um, we're not perfect. We don't know. We only have what people have passed down. So we're definitely wanting and willing to upgrade our schematics, our system, so that we know what we have, where it is, to allow us to respond better and more, to get these issues corrected more quickly.
So I want to again, we've gone through all our questions. I want to again thank David very, very much for his time, and thank our county officials, and thank all of you for being respectful. If I can add a thing, because I think a lot of people here know what my job is. I deal with communications, public relations agencies 24/7. When Mike Thurmond became CEO, fixing a lot of the problems with Watershed was a big deal. And he spent a lot of time and energy around communications, specifically as it pertains to Watershed. And it feels like here within the last 6 months, communications have completely nosedived. And I don't know the reasoning for that. I don't know if roles have changed, but I bring it up because the water billing was another big issue where there was no communication around it. People got a notice that said, hey, we're doing a new billing system. Some people had auto pay. So if I could leave y'all with one parting thought here, is that communication in any kind of a crisis situation, even if it's to say, we hear you, we don't know, we're working on it, is much better than no communication at all. And it makes a big difference in how people perceive these situations.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay.
You're exactly right.
So all that said, I think we all got our questions answered. So it's 9:17. I'm not one for long meetings. I have recorded this meeting. I'm going to upload it somewhere publicly where people can see it later. But thank you very much, David, and thank you very much to everyone who attended. And we hope you got your questions answered, and they probably were answered. We're going to take this recording and upload it to YouTube and just put it somewhere so people can, this isn't going to be for my personal business. It's just going to be for everyone because this is important to me because this is my neighborhood too. So with that, good night, everyone. Thank you all so much. Thank you, David, for attending. Thank you for our elected officials who are attending, and we will pop some champagne when the water is back on.
Thank you for the input. I greatly appreciate the comments, and I take it seriously. So I will definitely look into them. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Not everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.